Welcome everyone to the 26th Spanish-speaking Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Tuesday, July 7th, 2015. And we'll begin the workshop with the promotional video for the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute with Spanish subtitles.
Where does humanity go from here? What have we tried to do? What if there is more, much more? The Keshe Foundation is proud to announce a new way to bring humanity forward through technology that brings humanity in line with the natural operation of the planet and universe itself. The new science and technology discovered and developed by the nuclear engineer Moran Keshe centers upon the use and control of magnetical gravitational fields. This new body of knowledge opens the road to hundreds of potential applications, which offer solutions to most of the fundamental problems of the world, such as water, food, environmental contamination, and shortages of energy. The Keshe Foundation is proud to unveil the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Nestled amidst the beautiful shores of Bari, Italy, the Institute is poised to become a central hub in the spreading of plasma technology and knowledge. With its state-of-the-art 21st century facilities, the Institute will be able to provide students and staff an immersive way to learn the plasma technology, to be the leaders of the new generation of scientists and plasma engineers. The Keshe Foundation has opened the door to the world for peaceful usage of technology that is independent of the limited resources that are available on Earth. This is an understanding of how everything works together in harmony in our universe, and it applies to everything from the smallest to the biggest, from atoms to galaxies. We all are able to collectively work together in pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and solutions for our society. This learning environment is new to the world, where there will be no test to confirm your understanding. The knowledge of everyone will be respected and allowed to flourish in a nurturing environment. Hands-on testing and experimenting will be widely used in conjunction with roundtable discussions to bring all opinions and knowledge forward. Students will be introduced to a change in the ethos of working in collaboration. Students will experience firsthand how we share knowledge in a free and open manner. Graduating students are expected to share the knowledge they gain from the university within their respective communities and nations. All formal teachings, lectures, and presentations will be in the English language, with technology available for immediate translation. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be offering 3-year Executive Master Programs for undergraduate degree students and 1-year Executive Master Programs for graduate degree students in the following fields: space transportation, new plasma technology, health, agriculture, materials, energy. The health section is designed to make students able to live in space without the need to return to Earth. To this end, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute has found processes for many diseases including ALS, cancer, coma, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will offer online teaching courses which will enable anyone, anywhere around the world to enroll and increase their knowledge and understanding. Students will have the opportunity to direct their work towards commercial spin-offs and seek funding through the help of the Keshe Foundation. The access to the new science and new technologies is openly available for peaceful use to the benefit of mankind to make a better world today. Now you can be part of the changing world and the new knowledge. All commercial spin-offs are intended to be open source and patent-free. This is part of the core ethos of the Keshe Foundation and the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will have its official inauguration on April 21st, 2015, with courses commencing soon after on May 4th, 2015. The students of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be the leaders of the future who will make changes in all areas of space technology, science, medicine, agriculture, and energy. Anyone is able to apply, but acceptance is through invitation only. No prerequisites are required. We will be accepting approximately 250 students for the 3-year Executive Master's Program and 120 students for the 1-year Executive Master's Program. We welcome humanities participation in the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Where does humanity go from here? That is up to you. Apply today.
Okay, we're back to Mr. Keshe at the Keshe Foundation now, and we'll carry on with the 26th Spanish-speaking workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes. Good day to you, wherever you are, whenever you listen to this program as usual. We are waiting for our Spanish group, if they have anything to show today.
Yes, I am here. What do I have to do? Share screen? Yes. Wow. No, I don't see it. I have the page of many applications. Oh, here it is, I guess. Now we go.
There we go.
Okay. Fine. Do you want to make the description or should I proceed?
Proceed, please.
Yes, proceed, Mr. Keshe says. So go ahead, Enrique.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Keshe. Good day, everybody. We are starting with this presentation. If you remember, Mr. Keshe, last time we talked about the possibility of seeing the case of the so-called attention deficit disorder and how it was treated in the case of your son. But it brought me to the knowledge that I have on these matters, and I would like to know if the cup of life really can be an alternative to what they are doing in the pharmaceutical world, where they are mistreating the kids, and I think it shouldn't be. I treat them with energy healing, but that's something that is very slow. I just can see one boy at a time, and I think that if the cup of life can work and something based on what I know, or perhaps different explanation, would be great for these kids. So this is the presentation I'm making, and here we go, and it starts. This is a picture where the new kids are going to transform the world as it is now, and that's their mission. That's why they're so important. And during that 30th health workshop, you talk about the increasing presence of affection, of so-called hyperactivity or attention deficit disorder to little kids. And this is what we want to talk about. I will translate that. Amigos, estoy diciendo al señor Keshe que esta presentación se refiere al tema del déficit llamado trastorno de déficit de atención a los nuevos niños, y que es un tema muy importante porque están siendo afectados con la solución que da la psiquiatría con drogas, y que es importante hacer soluciones que no usan drogas para que no se afecten. Entonces, esta es la presentación. It's okay, Mr. Keshe. Other affections, not just ADD, like what you mentioned, autism, epilepsy, depression, dyslexia, they are all based on the same misinterpretation that psychiatry is doing, and they are being mistreated, they are being affected. And here is what I would like to present. About the new kids, I would start. The so-called ADD is a severe problem for the new humanity that is represented by the new kids that have arrived since the 60s and growing numbers. They are different. They are different kids. We have to understand that, and more advanced in many aspects. They have greater consciousness, higher intelligence, an energy of high frequency of vibration, psychic gifts, and their metabolism is different, and they see world different because of that higher consciousness they have. They were named indigos first, then they were called crystals, because they were different from indigos, diamond, rainbow, and so. But they are always referring those names to the characteristics of their high energy. And these kids wouldn't fit in the culture they came to change. And they were not understood by parents and professors first, neither by doctors, psychologists, and psychiatrists, because these tried to force them into the mold of the old energy, the old way of seeing life and of living. Their behavior was considered not normal. They had a very hard time, and although they were very strong, many were affected in several aspects: emotional, mental, physical, and even psychic. I would translate this. El llamado TDA es un problema grave para la nueva humanidad que está representado por los nuevos niños que han llegado desde los 60s en números crecientes. Son diferentes y más avanzados en muchos aspectos. Mayor conciencia, mayor inteligencia, energía de una alta frecuencia de vibración, dones psíquicos, tienen un metabolismo diferente, piensan, su proceso mental es diferente. Primero los llamaron índigos, después cristal, diamantes, arcoíris y otros, siempre en referencia a las características de su energía. Ellos no encajaban en la cultura prevaleciente, la que habían venido a cambiar, y no eran comprendidos por los padres y los profesores primero, ni por los doctores, psicólogos y psiquiatras. Trataban de forzarlos a moldes de la vieja energía, la manera antigua de ver la vida y de vivir. Su comportamiento se consideró anormal. La pasaron muy mal, y aunque eran muy frecuentes, muchos fueron afectados en varios aspectos: emocional, mental, físico y hasta psíquico. I want to add, Mr. Keshe, that there are no more indigo kids being born. Now there are the following waves, and the indigo kids were the first wave, as we will see, and they suffered the problem. Here's what I say about the indigos. The kids of the first wave were called indigos because his aura showed that color in different degrees. It was their higher energy. Obviously, they needed to use that energy, and they wouldn't stop running and wanting to know everything, dismantling toys instead of playing with them. They wanted to know everything. But worst of anything, they wouldn't obey. That was not acceptable at home or at school. They were labeled hyperactive and problematic. But they had a reason for that. I will translate. Los índigos, el TDA, los niños de la primera oleada fueron llamados índigo porque su aura mostraba ese color diferente en diferentes grados. Esto indicaba su más alta energía. Obviamente necesitaban usar esa energía y no podían dejar de correr y querían saberlo todo. Desbarataban los juguetes en vez de jugar con ellos. Lo peor de todo, no obedecían. Esto no era aceptable en casa o en la escuela. Se les etiquetó como hiperactivos y problemáticos. So I follow Mr. Keshe. They considered that they were wrong and had to be fixed. Parents and school took them to doctors who wouldn't know what to do, and finally and tragically to psychiatrists. And these came up with a syndrome of attention deficit disorder, and promised to produce calm and obedient kids for moms and professors to be happy with a new robotized and obedient kids so they could fit in the normal social and family order. The psychiatric drug used was methylphenidate, called Ritalin at the beginning, a blocker of the normal flow of serotonin in the neurons. I show you the graph for Europe of how the consumption of this methylphenidate in kids from 5 to 19-year-olds has increased in this century up to the year 2012, and it's impressive how it's multiplied by 11 times the use, but also other substances, anxiolytic, hypnotics, antidepressants are being used enormously, and the problem is the same because it's in the same basis. That's why it's so important. I will translate. Consideraron que ellos, los índigos, estaban mal y tenían que arreglarlos. Los padres y las escuelas los llevaron con doctores que no sabían qué hacer y finalmente y trágicamente a los psiquiatras. Estos inventaron el síndrome trastorno de déficit de atención y prometieron regresar a las mamás porque los profesores tranquilos y obedientes niños ya muy robotizados para que las mamás y los profesores estuvieran tranquilos y los niños pudieran insertarse en el orden normal, social y familiar. La droga psiquiátrica usada fue metilfenidato, Ritalin para muchos y luego con otros nombres, un bloqueador del flujo de serotonina en las neuronas. Esta gráfica muestra cómo tan solo en este siglo, porque esto empezó antes, en los 12 años primeros del siglo hasta 2012, se ha aumentado 11 veces el consumo, igual que los hipnóticos, los ansiolíticos y los antidepresivos. Se creó un enorme negocio de la industria farmacéutica y los psiquiatras con este fraude y los niños fueron grandemente afectados. I forgot to say, Mr. Kessler, that it created an enormous business for the pharmaceutical industry and the psychiatrists with this scam, and the kids were greatly affected. The psychiatric view. Psychiatry makes a frequent mistake in science. It fragmented the reality of the whole body and focused only in the brain part. They have learned a lot about its physicality, how it functions, but it forgot to go back to the whole picture and wouldn't accept or understand interdimensionality, for instance. It pretends to explain the whole with a part. They can alter its functioning of the brain, but they are looking at effects, not causes, which they seldom ignore. I translate. La psiquiatría comete un error frecuente en la ciencia. Fragmentó la realidad de todo el cuerpo y se enfocó solamente en la parte del cerebro. Han aprendido mucho acerca de su fisicalidad, de cómo funciona, pero se olvidó de ver el todo y no aceptó o comprendió la interdimensionalidad que tenemos. Pretende explicar el todo con una parte. Puede alterar su funcionamiento, pero están observando los efectos solamente y no las causas que generalmente ignora. So the psychiatric view it knows that serotonin activates action and melatonin calms it. So it looked for an inhibitor or blocker of the flow of the neurotransmitter serotonin in the neurons. That was what methylphenidate did. And it made the kid a quiet robot, not just... And parents and teachers could have a kid of old design. But the kid was not himself. Some went into drugs or into psychiatric hospital. Some even committed suicide. I translate. La psiquiatría sabe que la serotonina activa la acción y la melatonina la calma. Entonces lo que buscó fue un inhibidor o bloqueador del flujo de neurotransmisor serotonina en las neuronas. Eso fue lo que hizo el metilfenidato, que hizo del niño un robot callado. Y los padres y los maestros pudieron tener un niño del viejo diseño, pero el niño no era él. Algunos entraron en drogas o en hospitales psiquiátricos y algunos se suicidaron. So here is the other explanation, the one I use, how the emotional energy and the chakras participate and why the solution is there. I'm not putting a whole explanation of considering the body of energy also in the thinking process because it will be too long. But I'm going to refer only to what happens with the emotional part, the emotional body part that are in the generators, the chakras. And I present them, the generators. In order to express emotions, we need a specific type of energy. For that, the body of energy has 7 generators delimited by a unified field. Each generator is formed by a different number of atoms of lithium restrained in its area of sustentation. Here are the 7 from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple. Not a solid color. They have many, let's say, dots of different colors, but this is the dominant color in each. And they are fed by a thermal electrification system, and they receive and send instructions to the control center. Each generator receives energy for its area of work from a system of electrifications. This allows the generator to start up and begins to generate different types of charges so that the emotions are expressed. They vibrate in different levels of vibration. I put in the center here the image of how the aura and the chakras are connected and how there's this pranic tube that goes from below the feet to up from the head. And this makes the whole explanation a bit possible. I will translate. Generadores. Para expresar las emociones necesitamos un tipo de energía específica. Para tal efecto, el cuerpo de energía cuenta con 7 generadores delimitados por un campo unificado. Cada generador está formado por un número distinto de átomos de litio contenidos dentro del área de sustentación. Aquí lo vemos, cada chakra está conectado a un central de control y tiene un sistema de electrificación térmica. Aquí podemos ver los 7 colores típicos, simplificado, porque no son sólidos los colores, de cada chakra: rojo, naranja, amarillo, verde, azul, índigo y morado, correspondiendo a diferentes niveles de frecuencia de vibración. Cada generador recibe energía de un sistema de electrificación para su área de trabajo. Esta energía permite que el generador arranque y empiece a generar diferentes tipos de cargas. Each chakra receives an order to supply the energy corresponding to the energy and motion of the behavior that was decided in the center of control, which is in the mind and not in the brain. And you can see here how it emits the pulses of molecular activation and also some factors of molecular integration. And it creates, by this activation, that some biological molecules become neurotransmitters, prostaglandins, hormones, and other. This is just an example. And I will translate these. Well, they have an accumulator. They can accumulate energy in it. And cada chakra recibe una orden para abastecer la energía correspondiente a la emoción del comportamiento que fue decidido en el centro de control, el cual está en la mente y no en el cerebro. Aquí está otra representación donde está el aura, aquí en placas amarillas, y donde está sobre el tubo pránico los 7 principales chakras. No son los únicos, pero son los que están relacionados con el cuerpo emocional como generadores. So when the new kid doesn't receive comprehension, love, acceptance, support for the development of his or her gifts and their different way of being, he emits emission of low frequency energy, and his chakras accumulate the excess of it and affect his behavior. Here you can see how it is clean on the right and the left, how it is a normal and harmonized emotions, chakras, and aura. And you can see on the right how it can be affected. The aura and the chakras are affected to determine emotions and the behavior altered. And this is the key to understanding. Of course, a higher up we have to come up with an explanation of why it happens, and I'm not putting this explanation because I want to center in this area. I will translate. Cuando el nuevo niño no recibe comprensión, amor, aceptación y apoyo para el desarrollo de sus dones y diferente manera de ser, emite emociones de energía de baja frecuencia y sus chakras acumulan el exceso y afecta a su comportamiento. Aquí vemos las chakras en un estado saludable y el aura. La energía está balanceada, armonizada y es el niño normal. Cuando está afectado por estas emociones que recibe, que tiene que emitir por el maltrato y a la incomprensión que encuentra, aquí pueden ver cómo se afecta el aura. Se pueden perder partes del aura, se pueden alterar los chakras, se acumulan estas energías. Aquí es un ejemplo, no exactamente, pero es la energía roja, que es del coraje, la gris es casi de muerte. Y esto es lo que afecta el comportamiento. And different types of low emotions are created in different chakras. The aura and chakras are affected as the kid is dealt with. This worsens the excited behavior. And we find the blocking not of the 7 chakras according to what he is not receiving. We can see the number 7, which is in the crown chakra. When there's no spiritual activity, it blocks, because this is the connection with the spiritual world. And the 6th, which is in the center of the head, it represents the thinking process. Another, there's confusion. The confusion he finds in not being understood, and that what he does is not accepted, and he is forced to do other things. There's confusion and negative thoughts. And then in the 5th chakra, where is the success, when it is the communication of my truth. I can't say my truth because they don't accept it. So there's frustration. They can't express his truth. This blocks this chakra. And then in the 4th, if it is about love, about compassion, and if it doesn't receive and can't give love, because it's in the front chakra and the back chakra. The front expresses and the back receives. No love for these kids. They don't feel love. They are said they are called, you're wrong, you have to change, you're not accepted. What's love? That's not love. And the 3rd, which is extremely important for these affection, this is the chakra that mentally controls the emotions, can repress the emotions. So it fills up very rapidly. And there you have the emotions of anger, pain, fear, and aggression, given and received. And then the second chakra is for enjoying life. It is for sexuality also, but it is important key. It is impossible to enjoy life with that way of behaving with the parents and the teachers and the signaling. And the first chakra, which is for security, well, he can't feel secure. There's insecurity, no anchoring. So all of the 7 chakras are affected, depending on how each family treats them. And some might be treated with love and acceptance. They won't have this. But if they have some non-adequate education feeling by parents and then later by professors, they will develop this blocking, this problem. And this is what creates the problem. I will translate. El aura y los chakras se afectan según el niño es tratado. Esto empeora el comportamiento excitado del niño por su natural energía alta. Aquí vemos cada chakra. El chakra séptimo es sin actividad espiritual. Esas familias, cuando tienen problemas, repito, que es lo que vamos a ver de cómo tratar ese caso, se bloquea con energía emocional. Y en el sexto, que está en el centro de la cabeza para el pensamiento, hay confusión y pensamientos negativos, no puede crear realmente, usar su creatividad. El quinto es el del éxito, el de la comunicación. Comunicar su verdad es lo que tiene que comunicar, no nada más hablar. Pues ellos no pueden, entonces hay frustración, no pueden expresar su verdad, no es aceptada, son regañados, son golpeados, a veces cuando tienen este problema, existe. En el cuarto chakra es el amor, el de la compasión, o el desamor, claro. Y cuando no recibe y no puede dar amor, hay desamor y eso bloquea la capacidad de amar tan grande que ellos tienen. El tercer chakra es el que es muy importante porque es donde se reprimen las emociones y se guardan las emociones reprimidas. Esta es la fuente de muchas afectaciones para los índigos y en general para mucha gente que no se da cuenta. Así la ira, el dolor, el miedo y agresión, las recibidas son de muy baja vibración. Entonces el bloqueo es demasiado importante. Y podemos ver qué es lo que pasa cuando ya no puede detenerlo más y lo tiene que soltar, tiene que descargar la olla de presión. Y entonces cuando aparecen expresiones graves de comportamiento. El segundo chakra es para gozar la vida y para ellos en esas condiciones no pueden gozar la vida, no son aceptados, son reprimidos, son regañados. Estos niños cuando no son aceptados sufren, o cuando tan solo les quieren dar órdenes, porque ellos vienen a romper la idea de que hay que darle órdenes a los niños y de que ellos tienen que obedecer. Ellos no van a obedecer. Y entonces la inseguridad aparece. Aquí es el chakra de la seguridad, la conexión con la tierra. Y les falta anclaje a la tierra. Una gran inseguridad. Esta es la condición que yo encuentro cuando atiendo a un niño que llega con problemas de comportamiento. So, Mr. Case, this is represents the type of panorama that I find. There's energy when the kids come with these affections. And how is it harmonized, the energy? Because they want them to obey, and they will not obey. They come to finish, to end the culture of obedience in humanity that started with the slaves in Egypt and all that. And that is not possible to have love if you have to obey and you're not you, and you have fear. When they don't allow them to be themselves, they become really angry. They go to school and they're really bored because they are trying to feed them things that they already know. Or they give them medications. This is how they don't know. Or they are being hidden. They are mistreated. And the parents believe that they have the right to do that. It is incredible. They think that they have the obligation of mistreating the kids so that they can behave as the mother wants or the parent. And that this creates all this blockage in the end. You can see here a case of the bipolar kid, which is here with his parent, and he seems to be okay, but then suddenly it explodes, and he's aggressive, and he goes into crying, emitting, letting out all those stored energies that he had to keep, and then explodes. And so this is bipolarity, because they go into depression because all the chakras are blocked. Depression is the lack of expression. So if all the chakras are blocked, it becomes just depression. I don't have energy for emitting any emotion. And then it explodes finally, and then is the monster, and he is aggressive. All the type of energy that he has stored, expressed, but dramatically. And then he has an alleviation of energy, and he goes back to the situation. And how it is the cycle of bipolarity, which is not in the brain. Oh, excuse me, I have to translate. Así es como su energía desarmoniza cuando son obligados a obedecer, a hacer lo que se les dice. Ellos no tienen para eso, ellos traen una vacuna para no obedecer. Ellos quieren romper esa cultura desde la época de los egipcios y los esclavos, de obedecer lo que dice el jefe de familia o cualquiera que tenga esa posición. Ellos no lo van a hacer, ellos necesitan crecer en libertad, en independencia. Este es también cuando se les cortan las alas, no les dejan hacer lo que saben hacer, no les creen que tienen esos dones psíquicos, entonces les están cortando las hermosas alas que tienen, que ellos traen diferentes. Ellos se enojan, les dicen tales cosas y repelan, se rebelan, no son sometidos, se rebelan, y cada vez que hacen esto, sus chakras se bloquean. Cuando los mandan a las escuelas donde se aburren, donde no les interesa lo que les están diciendo, porque ya lo saben, su alta conciencia les permite saber sin tener que aprender. O cuando les llenan de pastillas y de medicamentos. Eso también es una forma en donde ellos se sienten oprimidos. Les dicen, estás mal, te tenemos que arreglar. O cuando los golpean, cuando este es un video impresionante de una mamá golpeando al hijo y no lo deja. Y esto hace realmente que sus emociones todas se tengan que acumular en su tercer chakra. Aquí vemos un caso de un niño bipolar, que aquí está aparentemente natural, con el papá jugando, y de repente se vuelve un monstruo, ataca, agrede, saca todas las emociones que estuvo guardando y que tenía ahí en su tercer chakra, las saca violentamente, la agresión, la ira, el miedo, etcétera, y termina llorando, sacando todas las emociones. Llorar es una manera de sacar emociones. Y ya que vacía su chakra, entonces vuelve a la misma situación y vuelve a acumular, y hasta que se vuelva a llenar su chakra puede salir adelante. But this is the way that they can flourish their advanced indigo consciousness if they are accepted. They are very daring. They try to do everything. They love animals. They love stories, imagination. They love to meditate, and they need the protection of the elders, of the parents. And they have the psychic abilities, and they feel the energy, and they can manage their energy. They can impose hands. They have this intuition. They love the earth. They love all the nature. And they are very daring. They enjoy doing, and they are not afraid of anything. And they are loving among them. Yes, they are very loving. And this keeps the aura and the chakras clean, harmonized. This we have to get to. I will translate. And this is how they can, así es como pueden ellos florecer su conciencia índigo avanzada. Son muy audaces. La audacia es natural en ellos. Se tiran al agua con toda facilidad, se avientan a un montón de paja, aman a los animales, y los animales los aman porque su energía, la que ellos emiten, es tan alta, es tan agradable, es tan pacífica, que los animales se sienten a gusto y juegan con ellos y los protegen. Les gusta usar su imaginación y hacer cuentos e irse a otras dimensiones. Ellos aprenden a meditar rápidamente y tranquilizar cualquier cosa que tengan alterada. Ellos necesitan la protección de los mayores. Ellos necesitan ser protegidos porque son niños. Aunque estén muy avanzados, son niños todavía y necesitan guía, no órdenes, guía. Y aquí vemos también todo su mundo interdimensional. Ellos se van a otras dimensiones, tan solo de ponerse a pensar, se van. O en la noche cuando sueñan o cuando se van, ellos viven otras dimensiones y conocen cosas que nosotros no conocemos aquí. Ellos adoran la tierra, ellos aman la naturaleza. Ellos la respetan, la gozan, la cuidan naturalmente. Ellos traen esta intuición, esta conciencia. Ellos son amorosos. Ellos se tratan muy bien. A cualquiera lo tratan si se les acepta. Y entonces se puede tener esto. ¿Cómo pasar de una condición a otra condición cuando un niño está alterado? Entonces, this is what we're talking about. How to pass from a contaminated and unhealthy aura and chakras to a healthy aura and chakras. Through what we do, the energy healer doing it. This is what is important, and it's totally different than using psychiatric drugs. This does not bother the energy of the kid. I will translate. ¿Cómo pasar de un aura y chakras contaminados y no saludables a una aura y chakras saludables? Que es lo que aquí vemos a través, lo estoy proponiendo a través de un sanador de energía, como yo lo soy, que esto yo lo hago con ellos, y cuando esto obtienen, ellos están tranquilos, ellos vuelven a ser ellos mismos. When you do this, the kids are calm, they are themselves, but with these affections and the emotional body, they can't be themselves. So how to get them harmonized with energy healing, pranic energy healing? Well, just a few steps. I won't teach the whole technique, but you go to the chakra and you feel it and you find it. You find each of these chakras in the expression in the front and in the back, except for the 7 and the 1st, which have only one expression. You localize it, and then you feel how bad is the low energy congestion. And that can be incredible. It can take meters ahead, maybe more. The accumulation is tremendous. But look, I put dark energy. It is low frequency, and it is in there, and it is not allowing the chakras to function properly, and the emotional body is affected. I will translate. ¿Cómo armonizarlos con sanación de energía? En cada chakra de los que tenemos, de los que tienen, digamos se siente dónde está la chakra. Entonces, una vez está localizado, ya se trabaja y se le mide la congestión de energía baja que tiene, que aquí está a esta altura, simplemente ampliando el brazo, pero muchas veces es mucho más que eso. Y la energía se siente picosa, agresiva, dura, dependiendo de qué tan grave está la situación. I was saying, Mr. Keshe, that you feel how the energy is. It may be itchy, it can be very hard. Sometimes it hurts my hand. I have to clean it. I wouldn't present all of the details. But here is how the cleaning is made after all the other procedures. You take pranic energy. You ask for it because energy follows thought. This is the main principle for everything. Pranic means from prana, from universal energy. And you ask for green or violet. You ask for green or violet. It passes through you. You take it in one hand, you receive it in one hand, and it passes through you, through your arm, and goes out in the other palm, and you send it, you project it to the chakra you're clearing. The contaminated chakra is going to be cleared with the intention of clearing it as long as needed. Sometimes it takes an hour or more in this technique. There are others which are faster. But what I'm trying to show this, because this is my question. How does it happen? What kind? Are these PM ticks? Are these PM teams coming in, and then we send what? Plasma? Is this energy going into the chakras, which are clogged with low energy, energy, and we clean it with it? I feel this is what's happening, but maybe that's why the couple of lines could come from inside and do this. Well, you balance, then you balance, you see, because there are two currents of energy, and the pranic too, which goes to each chakra, the masculine and the feminine energy. And if they are unbalanced, they will create problems. So you balance, and then you put some energy, clean energy, green, violet, or blue light, depending on what you want. First, with green is to clean, violet is to transmute, and blue is to close. And there are dry color energies. And you stabilize with the movement around and clockwise, and you then seal it, sending blue color in the front and in the back. And this is going to be the base of my question. Well, I will translate. ¿Cómo se usa la sanación? Aquí pueden ver al sanador recibiendo la energía en una de sus manos, en su palma hay un chakra, la recibe, la pasa por aquí, por los conductos internos que tenemos, y saca esa energía como un rayo, que puede ser de diferente color, según se pida. El principio de la sanación y de todo el funcionamiento de la energía es que la energía sigue al pensamiento. Entonces, con intención, por eso el sanador tiene que tener muy clara y muy limpia su mente y su energía, para que sepa lo que está haciendo y tenga la fuerza de llamar a esta energía y tenga la capacidad de venir y limpiar cada uno de los chakras. Esto, con esta técnica, es un poco lento. Hay otras maneras más rápidas, pero no las voy a enseñar porque lo que quiero entender es este proceso que está ocurriendo aquí. Es que estos estamos tomando PMTX, los estamos metiendo y estamos sacando ya energía transicional, y estamos con metiéndole al cuerpo como GANs y haciendo esta transmutación. Entonces, aquí digo yo, todo el proceso con esto es que recibes energía pránica verde o violeta en el chakra de una mano, y con el chakra de la otra mano, que tienes un chakra pequeño, la proyectas dirigida al chakra contaminado, dando intención de limpiarlo. Tanto como sea necesario, las veces necesario, porque se va quitando por capas esa energía acumulada. Luego balanceas la energía del chakra, porque hay dos líneas de energía que pasan por el tubo pránico a todos los chakras. Una lleva energía masculina y otra energía femenina, y esa tiene que estar balanceada. Balanceas la energía del chakra, la energizas con energía verde de sanación, violeta de transmutación y azul de sellar, y ya son colores secos, blanquecinos. Finalmente la estabilizas con movimientos en el sentido de las manecillas del reloj y las sellas con luz azul. Y entonces dejas listo, protegido cada chakra que estuvo contaminado. Ya te acuerdas, eso es lo que queríamos. So the aura and chakras end up clean, and the emotional energy of the kid is now in harmony. The main point is that the kid recovers his normal condition without the need of taking any drugs and altering the brain, and not putting the kid in risk of major emotional, mental, and psychic affections. The psychic drugs is terrible, it's cruel. Now, the following step after you finish and he's clean, well, okay, but where is he going back? To the same house with the same attention, the same time? Oh, no, wait. The following step is to explain the family how to pay loving attention to fields of development of the kid from there on. And this is going to be the real causes and solving the problem there. As compared with what we said with psychiatry that sees the effects, we go to the source, we go to the cause, and we solve it there. It's how the kid is treated and how he alters his emotional body. And that is the cause of the misbehavior that it's considered that the kid is wrong. He's not wrong, he's greater than anyone. And this is what follows. El aura y los chakras terminan limpios y balanceados. La energía emocional del niño está ahora en armonía. El punto principal es que el niño recupera su condición normal sin necesidad de tomar ninguna droga y sin poner al niño en riesgo de afectaciones graves emocionales, mentales y psíquicas con ese bloqueo que se hace de su mente, de su cerebro, perdón. El siguiente paso, ya que está limpio, ya que está en condición de ser el mismo, emocionalmente limpio, se le explica ahora a la familia cómo atender amorosamente los ámbitos de atención del niño a partir de allí. O sea, si el niño regresara al mismo trato, a la misma situación que causó la problemática, pues hay que estarlo limpiando de vez en cuando, y de todas maneras los problemas no desaparecen ni en casa ni en la escuela. Eso es ir a las causas reales de la afectación y no afectar al niño. And this, I'm sorry I didn't translate all, but this is the chart I have to explain to parents how they have to pay attention to all these fields of attention to the kids. The first one is treat them with dignity. They are dying of being how they are, of making mistakes or making noise or taking out his energy. Understand that they have too much energy. Yes, you have to pay a lot of attention to them, parents. And professors, don't expect them to be quiet, listening to you. No, please don't do that. Understand, if their dignity, the dignity is respect them and love them. This is the first solution. Then do what we just saw. Clean and balance the energy of the kid. This is what follows, because then he becomes himself. Also, nutrition is important because they don't eat all types of food. The high energy asks for food of high energy. So, and not very much, because if they have too much energy, they don't need so much to eat. We eat because we need the energy. to live. But if they already have high energy, they don't need so much. So don't force them, parents, to eat how you eat, the way you eat, and then at the same time, their metabolism is different. Respect that. Don't ask them to be at the table at the time you want. Let them be themselves and invite them to be once or twice a week with you, and that's okay. 4, Mama and Papa and the family members must also heal their energy, their emotional energy, because it is contagious. If some of the parents are very altered in their emotional body, they will contagiate this to the kids. The aura's getting touched, and the kid's aura is enormous. He has to know how to manage that. But parents are important, and I usually end up, in each case, cleaning the energy of the parents and even go into emotional healing. Send them to the appropriate school, not those that are expecting to have them quiet, listening, and obeying. Please don't. There are new schools with freedom when they can choose what they want to learn, and they have a lot of knowledge of what you want to teach them. They have access to their intuition. Intuition is wisdom. So they don't have to learn many things. They just go for the knowledge and take it. In many cases, you come with explanations of the kid that you wouldn't expect from him, and you ask, hey, where did you learn that? Oh, I didn't learn it. I know it. That's intuition, and they have it, and they're magnificent. But the professor, here is the professor allowing that, and they are creating what they want. But those who are really forcing them to do what the teacher wants, they would not accept. And the problem starts again. So 6th, exercise and contact with nature. Oh, they love it. And that it serves their energy body. It serves because it balances it. And they take energy from nature. And exercises for using their excessive energy, they can keep it in their body. They have little bodies and they have a lot of energy. We have to take it out. So and go with them and exercise and enjoy the whole way, not in classes where they force them again to do what the teacher said. No, go and swim with them as they want. Go and run, go and be happy using their energy. Let them use their energy. Don't want them quiet and obeying. Now, the 7 is the protection of their energy day and night. Their aura is extremely large. It's a lot of energy. So you have to teach them how to contract the aura, or they will be picking up the energies, the low energy of the other auras of the people around. So you have to help them with this and to harmonize all of this energy. And they can do that. They learn. They are great. Also, number 8, you have to support and to accept their psychic gifts. The psychic gifts, because they have, how do you say it in English? Excuse me. They can see other dimensions. They can hear other dimensions. These are the psychic, which we will have in time when we evolve. We all will have in time. We will communicate by transmitting the thought. They have it. They can see and they can tell you, oh, there's a monster here in my room. And you go and say, no, you don't. Just go to sleep. There's nothing here. No. Watch out. Respect that they can see that. And the dark entities prefer these kids because they have a lot of energy, and the dark energies don't have energy. So they take it from those who have it, and they alter the energy of the kid. So respect that and help them. We can tell you how. And they need, obviously, a system of reference, not just let them be without any guidance. No. It is guidance without control. Don't try to control them. They come to break the rules of obedience. Talk with them. Convince them if necessary, and let them be. They're audacious. But yes, they need a system of reference, very clear, but without punishment. Without punishment. They have a consciousness that can help them take consciousness. And so this is the way it is treated in education. Let me translate. Aquí está carta que les doy a los papás cuando terminamos de limpiarles su energía a los niños. Y ya son ellos mismos. Y es enfático la recomendación de que se les trate en dignidad, que vean a los papás como un apoyo y no como una amenaza, que les respeten y les den amor. Y esto es la primera y más importante de todas las recomendaciones, porque si hay esto, su energía no se va a alterar, aun cuando afuera pueden también alterarse todavía. Lo siguiente es desbloquear lo que acabamos de ver, presentarte cómo se limpia y se balancea la energía del niño. Y eso ya lo sabemos hacer, o ir con un sanador de energía adecuado. Lo siguiente es adecuar la nutrición, porque como tienen tanta energía, ellos no necesitan tanto comer ni a las mismas horas, su metabolismo es diferente. Nosotros comemos para tener energía, recuerden, pero si tuviéramos mucha energía no necesitaríamos comer tanto ni al mismo tiempo. Entonces dejen que ellos coman a su manera. Si quieres tenerlos en la mesa para platicar en la comida, bueno, invítalos a que un día a la semana, 2, eso sea así, pero los demás déjales que ellos coman cuando tengan hambre, cuando su metabolismo se olvida. Sanación de energía de mamá y papá. Generalmente esto es obligado, porque cuando ellos están maltratados es que los papás tienen sus energías emocionales muy desbalanceadas. Y si los niños llegan a regresar a las mismas condiciones de energía de los papás, pues al rato van a tener que traérmelo otra vez a sanación. Y esa no es la solución, porque van a estar sujetos a tratos muy inadecuados. Así que tenemos que ayudarles a los papás a que también sanen sus energías emocionales. La escuela apropiada, que no sea una de esas escuelas de obedecer, de tareas, de obligaciones, porque ellos no necesitan eso, ellos aprenden de otra manera. Su proceso de pensamiento es diferente, por cierto. Y ellos ya saben muchas cosas, pueden usar su intuición. Ellos pueden entrar en su alta frecuencia de vibración, entran a su intuición, a su sabiduría, y entonces saben cosas que no tenían por qué saber antes. En el momento que hablan de las mariposas, la maestra quiere explicarles, el niño va por el conocimiento de su intuición y le explica a la maestra sobre las mariposas. Eso es increíble, pero esa es la maravilla de los niños índigo. Y eso seremos nosotros también, al evolucionar. Tienen tanta energía que su energía se alivia, se tranquiliza si está en contacto con la naturaleza y si está haciendo ejercicio. Pues llévalos divirtiéndose, no metiéndolos a clases, porque es otra vez la misma idea de que no les pongan a obedecer, sino que disfruten estar ahí, que ellos vayan por gusto a ese contacto con la natación, con la carrera, con el ejercicio, con las marometas, con todo lo que corresponda, y estar en la naturaleza. Protección de su energía día y noche, número 7. Esa energía, ellos tienen un aura enorme, se puede expandir kilómetros, y entonces estarían tocando energías contaminadas de muchas otras personas. Entonces, la protección de su energía, hay que enseñarles a retraer su aura, a protegerla con energía adecuada, y ellos estarán más armonizados. El número 8 es el apoyo a dones psíquicos. O sea, ellos tienen clariaudiencia, clarividencia, how it was clairaudience and clarivision, excuse me, Mr. Keshe. And they use it, and they hear 4 dimensions. They can see 4 dimensions if they have this gift. Respect it, believe them that they are looking at this, that they are listening to them, and talk to them about why they are different so that they can understand, because they are not special, just different, because they have a mission, they have a task to fulfill. It's not the time, it is about to come. The time is about to come. The earth is changing, Mr. Keshe, as you know, and they will just start the chip of the indigo and crystal and all the nucleus. We will see them rise. Entonces, decía yo que hay que hablarles de sus tareas, de su misión, de que son diferentes, no especiales, y que por eso ellos no van a encajar, pero que pueden verlo y conocerlo, porque eso es lo que vienen a cambiar. Ellos necesitan conocerlo, este mundo loco que van a cambiar, y van a ellos a proponer lo que ellos saben. Y el 9º es un sistema de referencia, que no son reglas impuestas y límites que se imponen, y todo eso que en la energía pasada se creía que era la manera de educar. No. Esto ya no se les dan órdenes, eso vienen a romperlo. Ellos tienen una alta conciencia, y al tomar conciencia, lo que tienes que ayudarles a que aprovechen cada experiencia, a tomar conciencia, y ellos lo van a tomar y van a cambiar su comportamiento sin ningún grito, sin miedos. No les crees miedos para que se comporten como tú quieres. Deja de querer que sean como tú. No son como tú, son mucho mejores, mucho más avanzados, respétalos. Esa es la idea, ese es el mensaje. And this is the end of the presentation. But there are other ways of healing with energy. Vibrational means like aromatherapy, flowers, Vak, Tibetan bowls, Reiki, homeopathy, music, etc. There's no need of medication. There's also a very powerful, which is the one I use, which is interdimensional energy healing, where you combine as a healer your energy with the energy of a self from higher dimensions. And it is extremely fast, and extremely easy, and extremely powerful. But you have, the healer has to be in a very high level of consciousness and energy. As I said very frequently, it is necessary to clear and balance first the parents. And that's the key point. So I asked Mr. Keshe to comment on the energy used in healing, and to let us know how he utilized the cup of life to solve the situation of his son. I will translate. Hay técnicas vibracionales como aromaterapia, flores de Bach y similares, cuencos tibetanos, reiki, homeopatía, música, etc., sin necesidad de medicación alguna. La sanación interdimensional de energía es muy potente, es muy rápida, pero eso es una combinación de la energía del sanador con la energía de seres espirituales muy elevados que te ayudan, que mandan su energía, y es muy efectiva. Y ellos están deseosos, pero tú como el sanador tienes que estar en una energía muy elevada o no hay tal conexión. Y enfatizo que es muy frecuente que se tenga que armonizar primero a los padres. Y además pido a Mr. Keshe que nos comente sobre la energía de sanación y cómo utilizó la copa de vida para resolver el caso de su hijo. And this is it, Mr. Keshe. This is the presentation, and I hope you can comment on what I said. Hello?
Our cameraman just muted me. While you were talking, I had to go back and forth and see a lot of things. A lot of things you put on this the slides resonates, a lot of truth. I'm still looking for something to check on the internet before I can tell you something.
Okay.
I just joined you in a minute, 1 minute. Because you went somewhere a couple of times, you showed anything, and I'm trying to do something with what you said. Okay, I can't find it, maybe in the future. What you said, what you showed in all the slides, it might sound like fairy tales or a story, but me and my wife live this life. We still live part of this life. It all came through immunization. We can pinpoint it to the time. And in so many ways, when you refer to the use and the behavior, this all comes because you can do whatever you like. The amount of poison by mercury in the body is so huge that the body at that age cannot handle. I remember my son was only 2.5. 2 days after the injection, he was taken to hospital in a critical condition of life support. We had him there for 2.5 days. We didn't know if we're going to get the child back or what we're going to get back. In so many ways, what we took home after 25 years was not what we brought out of the hospital when he was born. The situation is very simple. We looked everywhere, but except looking into immunization. That was the problem, because it came exactly 2 or 3 days after the injection he had. When you speak about the Ritalin, I used to run to the hospital. They used to make a mixture, drive as fast as possible to the school that he could have the injection or the drop before his lunch, because he had a time lapse. I've done this run 3-4 times a week. They used to call that the medicine is ready. And then one day I said, after 2 or 3 days, no, enough is enough. Me and my wife stood our ground and says, no more is your guinea pig. I remember in 1999, driving all the way to Cardiff. I paid £1,500 for a Saturday session with a specialist all the way from Manchester for him to be tested for hyperactivity and what was wrong with him, mental psychology. There was nothing wrong with the child. There was absolutely. Now he is a scientist. He's a high caliber scientist. He's a psychologist, scientist in animal behavior. And he is a guy who was supposed to be hyperactivity, attention deficiency. He's a sharpshooter in the British Army. He's a marksman, not as a marksman, but marksman as a sport. High caliber, top 100 in British Army territorial around the world, Commonwealth. But the life we lived was amazing. It was a fairy tale which came out of nowhere. It hit us with the injection, and we had to live it. It took me years, and it took Caroline a lot of time to understand how we got there, how things went wrong. And the minute we found out, and Caroline did a lot of work in the background, studying, finding out, we found out it's a mercury poisoning. We could understand the behavior. And it came immediately after the injection. His hospitalization is well registered. His cycle of the abuse of Ritalin by doctors is registered. So we took the situation in our hand. And then I studied it. I studied in depth exactly why. The problem with this immunization, or what we call the rest of it, which you call ADHD, it has 2 or 3 simultaneous problems. And it's so complex that you don't see it. One of the problems with it is, at the point of injection, child gets a high temperature. This high temperature leads to a critical attention. What happens is you leave the child. If you have other children, the priority goes on the child with the temperature or being hospitalized. And in that process, the child realizes, I am the center of the attention. I can have all the attention possible without anybody else getting it. And the tension at that age, especially if you're a second child or a third child, is so important to the child that the child picks up as a habit. Now he sees he's got you in the hospital 2 or 3 days, so now it creates a habitual presentation of illness. But it doesn't end there, because now you find out this habitual illness, this attention procedure needs satisfying. It's like you've been touched by a drug, you become addicted to it. And when in the presentation you showed that they need attention of the parents, it comes because at a point of the infection, it is an infection when they get the injection, so much attention has been paid that they want the attention, because that's what we call ADD, attention deficiency. There is no attention deficiency. In the point of weakness, they realize they are in charge of everything. And children are very clever. So now this is not going to be compromised. I call this the seat of kingship. They are in charge. They won't let you go at no cost. And to be in charge of the seat of kingship, you need to give orders, and orders need to be followed. So as I said before, if I get this and throw this and move this and do this, you're continuously watching what's my next move. I want the attention. I'm addicted to it. So for me to be receiving the energy, I have continuously to be mobile, throwing something, physically doing something. So what it gives intention is the false intention of hyperactivity. This is the disease called ADHD, attention deficiency hyperactivity. Because to gain attention, you have to stay active. The minute you stop, you're no use. You can't get any more energy. So in the classroom, you shout, you hit. So outburst of anger we saw in the picture you showed in the water is, I need attention because somebody else has gotten more than I did. The only solution, one way of solution is that, as you said correctly, tell them the love is unconditional, but they find another door to come in. You close one door, this ADD, this seat of kingship has millions of doors. And once you open the Pandora box, it never shuts. It never shuts. And the strange thing is, when they grow up, they find a partner where they can open another Pandora box. But this time the victim is the partner. They open another Pandora. So what happens, the problem with immunization is creation of a point of weakness, which they see the point where the parents can spend all the attention to one person, to them. And then all the commotion which goes with it. Ritalin, nothing works with this because it's not psychological disease, it's a seat of kingship disease. That's why it's like schizophrenic. No medicine works on the schizophrenic because it's a reality of 2 or 3 people in the same body. What do you want to do? Dictate one, control one? One of the things which we found work, and is amazingly effective, is let the body to exhaust itself. If I could get hold of Caroline to bring it here, she will explain to you. She's written a paper I've explained before. It's called My Pillow, My Life. And she has given this process of change of behavior to South Manchester Hospital as a gift for the children with ADHD. And I completed the other side of it. Due and through a lot of experience, we found something very interesting. They run you exhausted because of the continuous ADHD to get attention. If you run them exhausted, you got them in their own game. That's why they do a lot of damage. And then, because they cannot get it, they cannot, if you cannot satisfy this sense of kingship, then what happened? Epilepsy. Another case of highly attention seeking. They create so much information trying to be, instead of physically active, to create hyperactivity. They create the brain waves that brain can't handle. The contact point in the brain shuts, so you get epileptic attack. So they get the same thing. When they wake up, everybody's on top of them. Oh, what happened? You had an attack, and the rest of it. So you do it by kicking physically, and when you become professional, you do it by putting yourself in the same psychological condition. So if you go back on the list of the diseases you showed on the second or third page, please, he's got the list. Can you show that, please? Hello? Are we there?
I'm not sure which one. Can you?
If you go back on, it's just a list of diseases we see with this injection. If you go down, no. You want to go on the first couple of pages. Yes, go back, further up, further up, further up, further, back. Stop. No, go down, go backwards. Go where you're coming down, go the other way, please. Yeah. Autism, epilepsy, bipolarity, depression, dyslexia. What happened? Part of this goes all the way through. You get epilepsy. Bipolarity is when they can't get attention, they create a second friend. So that second friend, now, if I'm sitting here working myself, nobody pays me attention. But if I start talking, hello, how are you, blah, blah, blah. Oh, can Mr. So-and-so come and sit down and eat with me? Mr. So-and-so, like, I bought so many McDonald's for Mr. So-and-so, sitting on the table and the desk. You don't know how bad it is. I've been through most of it. We sit in the restaurant. Mr. So-and-so has to have the food as well. Doesn't matter. You pay 2, 3 euros. At least he eats his food. But he got the attention. Mr. So-and-so, it's me. I get my attention. You see in there, he talks about imaginary friends. Because all that boils to this seat of kingship. And in the other part, it goes back into how parents should behave, the food, and the rest. Because if you go on the list of 9 things he shows, every single one of them has attention on it. They use the food to get the attention. I don't like this. I don't want this. I don't do this. I don't eat this. They sit for 3 months on a baby chair in a dining room, in a school with all the 400 other children in the classroom because they refuse to eat one thing and they want to be there because all 400 pass and they get attention. That's not a baby seat, that's a seat of kingship. I can tell you stories about these people. They pick on something that nobody else likes, so now I'm in charge. All what has created partially is ADD. That's why there is no solution for it, because it's not a solution. If you can get rid of a king, you can get rid of a child with the ADD and side effect of illness. This problem with injection is that mercury affects the emotional part of the human being, which touches the physicality. And in a moment of weakness, the child realizes it's a strength, what it can do, and embeds itself in the emotional part of the brain. It becomes a second habit because now automatically is written in DNA and it's straight away in RNA. This is the problem with the mercury. It's not that you get a mercury poisoning. Mercury creates a position that allows the phosphor to embed information in the RNA and DNA at the same time. This is the problem with this injection. You don't get mercury poisoning. It's like when we spoke about copper oxide, zinc. You create a gap field that can pull the carbon. CO2 is a byproduct. Mercury creates the same condition, which affects in a way, if you look at it, as emotional part and the physical part allowed to be embedded. You see behavior, physical activities. Always like this. The minute they want something, they go. Because it means, I want attention. Watch where the hand goes. Now you know the trouble starts. So it somehow embeds physical and emotional at the same time. And it's very much what I call, there is a similarity. I've studied the behavior, as you know, a long time in respect to a lot of mental conditions. This ADD has a root and has another name for it. Prostitution is another ADD. A lot of prostitutes don't stay prostitutes. They stay for the attention they get. We call it, because at the moment of the weakness, they understand they are in charge, they are in the seat of kingship. They do the same thing with adults, with the ADD. It's very similar. Behavior is exactly the same. Amazing. Huh? You got to understand it fully. So this is no difference. So what you have to do, Caroline found part of it, but we couldn't solve all of it. And when we put the emotional side into it, the child changed in a matter of days. But the problem is, these children turn out to be, if you can solve the problem, extremely intelligent. He's one of the most intelligent people I've ever known in my life. Why? Because at the process of using all the brain together to have the attention and all the high activity, they have opened most of the channels of the brain for access for storage and use. Because you look at him as he's going for this, but he knows this is going to last a few seconds. He's already looking, watching, what's the next one? This is the nearest. And then so his continuous, did I get enough attention? No, it's not there. He continuously watches the scan to create for the next. So the brain is extremely active. Einstein used 10%, ADD, dyslexic people use 90% of the brain. And this becomes a habit. You have to feed it. So what happens is not the mercury which creates the problem. Mercury creates a gap, energy gap, in the body of the child because it's injected directly into the body. This is what I say, a lot of you with situation, Elia Kostova, with needles, will have the same effect because it's an energy pack which is delivered directly to the brain. But what it does, it creates a DNA which creates like an addiction crave. It stimulates part of the addiction brain of the body, which means I get attention, I'm satisfied for a few seconds, I need more. So that is the addiction which mercury, because of the high potential energy, delivers to the brain, touches both emotional and physical. It's exactly like drug addiction. You have to understand how to solve it. The only way you can pray, you can give them energy, you can do whatever you like. The source is not sorted till they realize, and it takes a long time, that they are the cause of their own problem. So what do? You go back reversing the same process, which means you make them physically tired enough that they open their physical channel to the emotion and they sort the problem out themselves, but it's so strong that they can keep on going back to it because it's embedded in the way you do, for example, the exhaustion is, we call it the pillow bashing, which means, Caroline shows it one day, I'll bring her to show. The child sits on the floor and just literally physically you can get them running for hours. They come back exhausted. But when you set them in one position, it's exactly what they want because they cannot do. They cannot scan and do anything else. They sit in one position and you give them a pillow and they bash the pillow on the floor as hard as they can. So the mind is focused. And you find out they do it 50, 100, 200 times and they go exhausted. So you have created the reverse of hyperactivity. The hyperactivity has already kicked in. They cannot do anymore instead of kicking the table and everything. And you got them the attention. You turn them back on their back. You give them the pillow because the center of attention was not just the pillow. Pillow is the object of the attention. And then what do? You let them speak. And they tell you the whole story, how they do their job. Where they see they needed attention from a can of Coke, somebody else, somebody else, somebody else. So they speak their emotional lock open. 3 or 4 sessions, the child walks away, becomes a sharpshooter. Because don't forget, to become a marksman, you need to be concentrating for hours. If they give you a target, you have to sit and don't lose concentration. How can you be ADD, few weeks, months before being on Ritalin, and now become a sharpshooter marksman, British Army, where you are always trying to scan and do something else. Now you can watch for hours down the barrel to see when it's the next shot. Because now they understand their own problem. They are extremely intelligent people. But you have to understand to put them through the process. This is what we're trying to do here in Italy. Open a center for what they call ADHD to show there is no such a disease. It's not a disease. It's a seat of kingship, and I'm not prepared to relinquish. But what happens, Mercury changes the aura because now the energy is dispersed for attention. They call it different names, whatever they call it, because it's what you had in your reactor. You create different color according to what material you use at what strength. in your ganses, you have the same plasma, is white, you call it CO2, is green, you call it copper oxide. So when you create a specific energy to be continuous in this order, you're monocolor, more or less, because it means you continuously take from the environment, give very little away. So when they put names and colors, now we understand how they do, because the whole energy is mono, attention. And attention means continuous physicality. So the problem is huge, but why do they put mercury in a combination of 3 injections? We haven't managed to find out why yet. The documents which is in the hand of the government doesn't open it up. Because what does dyslexic mean? What is a dyslexic? Yes? Ah, can you accept it, please? Vince, are you there?
Yes.
Your 2 boxes arrived after a month and a half. It's just walking in.
That's great.
Okay, now we got to wait for 3 more. Okay, thank you very much. Now it's here. Giovanni is taking them over. So we got it. We'll talk later on. So what happens is we don't know why they use mercury. But we know there is a structure in doing it, and they know there is a harm in it. I said, what is dyslexia? Can you explain, any of you, what is dyslexia?
You can switch letters and numbers back between each other.
What does it give you when you do it? Attention? Attention? No, it gives you a lot of attention. It gives you a huge amount of attention. If I call this, let's say, daddy, or I'll call you your dad. If I call daddy means this, but if I call you your dad, oh, this is daddy, no, your dad. Now I got your attention. You understand the process? They train themselves to use the sounds. They usually use these, some of them. A, E, O, U. And you have a what? Because these are the ones we are looking for. They use sound in a different way, and they make a lot of deliberate mistakes subconsciously, because now it's embedded in ANA and DNA. If I call you mama, you take no attention, you're mama. But if I call you mampa, what is mampa? Oh, it's mama and papa. So you never know which one. You always pay attention. The whole structure is the way they look on the different names and titles, the attention seeking. My God. Jesus. I would like to take a picture of this. Pardon? This has had more than a rough trip. This is dead. Oh my God. Any more? That's it? Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you indeed. So what you see is what you have in hand. Continuously looking and seeking for attention in different shape or form. We call it different diseases. That's why no one up to now has found a cure for immunization side effects. Because there is none. Because at the point of weakness of the physicality and emotion is embedded instantaneously in both DNA and RNA. How this information is going in, how fast it does it, we don't know. But at that point, allows the child through the emotional part, which is more or less your RNA, to find out he can use physicality to feed the emotion. Is this how we see MS with large number of mercury fillings? As you know, mercury fillings in the tooth, releasing large amount of your tooth, your fillings, most of them till recently, even now, some of the doctors still use mercury filling in your filling. Does that do the same, that we look for attention so much that we look for attention, but we didn't get from the mother, and then we call it MS? Are they? Depression is part of it. Why do we get depressed? Because we don't get what we want. We don't get the attention because when you are young, everybody looks after you. When you become old, you do stupid things, nobody looks, you don't get attention, so you get depression. The structure of immunization is to find out how mercury, the same as a mercury filling in tooth, leads to attention deficiency. It's not attention deficiency. It's embeds a need to be loved, to be taken care of, and embeds in RNA. And when it's embedded in RNA, it becomes addiction because it's there. How are you going to raise it? There's a lot of problem. Even number of the children we have helped out of this situation, they collapse back very easily into the position because they still would like to be the center of attention. And then when they don't get it, they are not the center of attention. Nobody loves me. You saw on the plates where it was put up, they commit suicide because it's not worth, I don't get it. So it's not, they don't commit suicide because of that. They commit suicide because the attention is not there. You can give all the attention to them, and then what happens? If you have other children, they suffer because they see their time, their emotion part is stolen from them. You get a chaos family. And you have to be on top of it, draw a line around it. It's taken Carol and I years to understand and to be able to handle. And don't forget, because they're highly educated, they're highly intelligent, they find another loophole whenever they want. It's a not ever ending story. It always changes to something else. So what do you get? We have to look for effect of mercury on the RNA and DNA, where the weakness in our DNA embeds the need of love in RNA. And it's permanent. You're addicted, you're hooked on. And you cannot change it. It's impossible to change it. Because everything you do, they change the position. They change the orientation to still get the attention. And it's one of the most horrendous things you see. Children will not speak 10 years, 15 years. Because, but not speaking, what's wrong with you, darling? Are you tired? Now, if I don't speak, I get the attention. Is there something wrong? Are you sure you're okay? Are you hungry? He's sick, he's blah, 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 but inside the brain works. Oh, you see, I got all the attention. You find out, especially in the older age, 19, 20, 22, 25, a lot of girls which have been affected by mercury, they turn into prostitution because they get the attention totally in a different way. Because now they cannot disturb a classroom. There is no classroom. There is no friends to disturb. But they can get attention from one man to another. You see odd behavior of clothing to get attention. They color their hair from pink to yellow to green, wear all sorts of color rainbows, half of the clothes hanging, because anything to get attention pays to do. Because the energy received from the attention feeds the emotional hunger. I have watched hundreds of these over the past 20, 30 years. And the ones that I take, I see them how they change, but they cannot fool you. The ones we put through what Caroline calls my pillow, my life, we get a very good result. The one we keep out of this process, you get a problem because you try to see if you can get them to see the problem. They bash things, they disturb, and strange enough is they know, irrespective of language, how they can disturb to get their attention. They don't understand a single word of English, but when you explain to the parents what they are doing, they cry, they pretend, they jump from the chair to another, because they feel the emotion of the soul, not the words. That you've been caught, we got you. You transmit through the soul of the man, and the souls understand it. So we got you. Now how are we going to get you sorted? And they do the most funniest things. Some of them cut themselves, and they say, if you cut yourself, nobody sees you. They cut themselves, and you see a line of cuts. I can show you a girl age of 20. The cuts going all the way up the arms. Because the attention is more important than any physical harm. Because when you say, oh, what happened? Oh, I do it every now and then. If you follow, a lot of people do the self-mutilation and go back to the time of the injection, you see it there. Maybe they see themselves walking from death, and we are strong enough to walk from death condition, because don't forget they get a very high temperature. Do part of the cell detects. I stayed with my son for 2 days in hospital in a life support. I watched the whole change of process. How they see in that position when they come back, I received attention, and they misread the love for attention is what he referred to in his talk. Possible. Can we produce a system through plasma to change it? 99% yes. Yes, we are back. So we got to look, if we can put in a new plasma technology to give to the soul, would it change their physical behavior? And I'm a great believer it can be done. It can be done because you can satisfy the totality. You handle the emotion, the soul, physicality is soul. We saw the gentleman who came here, I told you, and he never turned up back again with his son. Continuously shouts, Papa, 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 Papa. So it means I'm the center of them. You're talking to the others that are not important, me. He goes across the football pitch, he's kicking the ball, Papa, Papa. Nothing is important. It's an amazing condition. There is a solution. We have found part of it, but I believe the plasma technology, when it can be implemented in the way we want to, you can reach the soul. Then you touch the physicality. You have to give equal to what was taken in or added to the RNA. Then you change the physicality. These conditions are horrendously horrible. No, I'm back for the battery. Last time was his, this time is mine. Two jealous things, huh? One had a battery, the other one wanted two. How many more batteries do you need? Do you need more chargers? You know something? I'm going to get my own battery made next week. I'll put it in there. I don't need yours anymore. 20 years.
Darn right.
Make it. This next couple of weeks, we're going to make it and we're going to show it. Because now we know how to do it. But the secret of making the battery for long life is totally different than the energy supply. Hint, hint. But it's very simple. I gave the drawing to Armand when he went to China. Now we're going to do it here in Italy. So what you got to look is not at all the side effects or what we call the end product, but what actually caused it. The whole thing is so powerful that the body of a child cannot handle it. The amount of energy which is delivered by mercury and then affects the emotion and physicality. We've seen it, we've been through it. I know a large number of families which have been distorted. I know divorces because of this injection. Because the demand is so much that the children prefer the parents to separate. They cause so much problem that now I get, when I'm with the papa, I get everything from papa all the time. When I'm with mama, I get all the things from mama. You don't put them, they won't stay with anybody. Because wherever they are, they're continuously after attention. You find out in the schools, when you have a, what I call iron fist teacher, you move, you get it. Italian technology, bash them up, what they call national sport. ADHD is very little in the school. They walk out of the school, it starts with the parents. Teachers are very strict here. You get a bash of it. They have no problem. As you know, I always say in Italy, beating the children is a national sport. I say it so many times, I got used to it. Where anywhere in Europe or in the world, you touch a child, they take you to prison. Here, they give you a prize. So you don't see, oh yes, don't worry, I've seen enough of it. I saw one yesterday. You hear, and you think somebody's battering something, it's a child coming back, as nothing happened. Hello, Papa, but you see the right hand on the cheek. National sport. So you find you have to handle with a very, very strict hand a lot of line of not getting attention and this attention ADD, they do anything to confirm their existence. Because they are the center of attention. A lot of pedophiles have this problem. Because when you have a child you abuse, you are the center of attention. You dictate the position. 99% of pedophiles are ADHD. Because now the child is yours. That's what the king of Belgium does. He rapes children to kill because now not only he's the king of his kingdom, he's the king of a child. That's why we are on exile, because of this behavior, because we expose the behavior. Because when you have a child, you abuse it, there's nobody else. You are the king. You are the center of attention. That life is in your hand. These people, prostitution, ADD, child abuse, pedophile, are all the same. Because they are the center of attention. They control the situation. So you get this. Don't forget, one of the most strangest thing is you always get, there's a high percentage, very high percentage of ADHD side effect of immunization on the second and the third child. Hardly very few on the first child. Because the second child sees that the first one takes all the attention, now is my turn. If you look, follow the ADHD schedules of most of the people, Most probably, I go through it. Most probably, a lot of children go through it. They go through the temperature, we get reaction towards it. But in that moment of injection, the weakness, they realize they are in charge, gets embedded. Which way it is, we don't know yet. But you find a large number of second children show the signs of ADD. Because they want the attention. They see the other one have it stolen from him. The older one has had it. Now I found out I'm loved. Now I'm going to live it. I'm going to live it. And it goes as a habit. This is something a lot of authorities have to look. Where do we get effect of the immunization on a child? Second child, third child. We see very few on the first child. Pardon? Is not, yes, they teach themselves.
But I mean, like, I think of older people that didn't get vaccines, seem to having, vaccines like my father's generation. They didn't have the vaccine.
Yeah, we always have it. We always have it on the different condition and position. But with the immunization, because of the weakness in the point, it allows other diseases to settle in too. Yeah? When you are exhausted, you're continuously concentrating in getting the attention, so you're using a lot of energy. You are not so safe with other diseases. Your immune system goes low because you're using a lot of energy. When you're exhausted, you catch cold. If you're healthy, you can jump in the deep sea, nothing happens. So because of the hyperactivity, opens a channel of energies to come in different ways. Illnesses, sicknesses, because you're using the energy somewhere else. This is what in English say, burn the candle from both ends. There's certain length to it, it burns, it finishes very quickly. So this is what you see, this is what you stand, and why do we have a structure? I had no choice. I had to study this. It was part of the problem as a scientist I had to solve. I have a beautiful wife. She understands it. She studied it. And we managed to bring it under control because now it's understood. But the point is, a lot of these people end up in military because military gives them discipline that they can later on, they look forward to the ranking, they have soldiers on their arm. Now, hip hop, I'm the center. Teachers, I'm the center. I talk, you follow. They have a specific pattern of life. When you expose it, when you go study it, all goes back to the point of the mercury creating the weakness. Then the behavior is a split second. You know, they say if you touch crack, you get addicted to it and that's it. It's a split satisfaction of physical and emotion. Mercury creates that condition. Maybe in a decay in the tooth condition where we have the mercury fillings, we slowly build up the mercury from the tooth in our emotional part that starts the MS. As we increase the amount of mercury from our tooth filling, our life pattern changes for needing structure, touching emotion, and then it reaches a saturation point and we click. So there is a lot of parallel, there is a lot of understanding. We say it creates, we see in our Spanish guys putting a list of numbers, but just look at every single one. It's part of attention deficiency. I want attention. I want attention. They do the most stupidest thing. They jump off the things you can never imagine, and they're afraid of jumping off one step. Because you jump from 10 meters, no problem. But 1 centimeter gets your attention. How come the guy jumps 10 meters but not one step? I'm afraid to go. I don't know if I go. Because now you see me doing 10, now I got your attention for 1 meter. Because when I jump to 10 meter, I'm a hero. I get no attention, it was done. But if I cannot go 1 step, a big boy like me is afraid of 1 step. I've seen so many, I can give you a list of behavior. But you're not aware of it. Patterns are not aware of it. If I explain to you in a different way, if I come and take, let's say, an orange, an apple, and a pear, normal child eats all 3. But if I say, I don't like orange apple, or brown apple, or green apple, now I've got your attention. You put apple, doesn't matter, green, white, yellow, whatever color, it's an apple. But if I don't like white apple or green apple, now you have to pay attention. You go to the shop, you buy green apple, everybody else's. I'm not eating green apple. Next time you go shopping, they work so intensively that even in the shop, they're in the school, you know, Mama, can I have an apple? You are in the shop shopping, he's in the school, you are thinking the attention given, I can't buy a white apple because he won't eat it. And comes to it, he goes to a friend's house, nobody paying attention, he's eating a white apple. Because there, nobody cares. And food is one of the ways of getting attention. 3 times a day food, 4 times a day food, recharge the battery. You recharge the battery. Because it's part of attention seeking. And then what they do, you find a lot of these guys get addicted to high energy drinks like cola. Because it's a sugar, they need it for the hyperactivity doesn't come from the sugar. The hyperactivity comes because now they have energy, they have to burn it because now they are in kingship. They've been fueled. So one day we will establish what this says. But this mercury, especially with a large number of increase in MS, with other materials which are in the market, which carry energy balance of mercury or the similar thing, is leading to a lot of these kind of diseases. I don't blame immunization, but I blame immunization because the mercury in it is unnecessary, and that mercury, in conjunction with the other things, creates an energy which affects physicality and the emotion at the same time. It's of an energy level which both of them meets both at the same time. That's why we go to, for example, McDonald's, because the salt content creates a specific density of the strength that suits both emotion and physicality. We are hooked. That's what they do. It's a psychological food. McDonald's is not food. It's a psychological food because once you're hooked on, you get the right salt content, right sugar, and the right fat. You all done your GANS boxes, huh? It's a right energy plasma pack. It touches the emotion. You are there, you crave. The Indian food, the hot food, does the same because it creates such a vibration of free that you go for it, you crave for it. You have to have it to satisfy the physical motion and the emotion at the same time. Because a lot of foods are created, structured to do this. And then you see the same proposition. It'll be interesting if we see there is a high possibility that some of the foods don't use mercury, but use energy composition, which is with the mercury and creates that crave. Some drugs do. And if it's very high, suicide is the next step. but we don't know. What extent it was, we do not know. Can we extend it? We do not know. But the exhaustion of the body allows for them to see how they operate, because you put them in the hyperactivity without their control, then it does bring them back, that they receive the attention and everything else. Then they analyze how they do the work, how they cheat. It's a kind of cheating, attention deficiency. There is no disease called. There is any time you see in the future or present that the world of medicine has no solution for certain diseases psychologically, it means it's not a disease. It's a kind of control behavior to benefit one or the other. Or we don't understand how the structure sits because there is a structure we don't see.
Mr. Kesh?
Yes?
I've noticed there's a link that's been drawn between autism and air pollution. There's a Harvard study that just came out last year, and they did it in Utah in the U.S., and it points very directly toward air pollution as being affecting autism. And it turns out that Utah has the highest autism rates in the U.S. and also the highest pollution levels. So what it is, when they check this out, the autism has tripled since 2002. Basically, the last 10 or 12 years, it's a 300% increase. It's a huge problem. And what they did is they found out that children in the womb are known to be susceptible to this damage, damage from the heavy metals in the air pollution and the genetic damage and so on. This happens before they're even born. And it's exposure to these toxic materials, which include I can't find it here. It's the usual things in air pollution, but what they emphasize in this study is that the highest percentages, the one that causes the most effect, is from diesel exhaust. From all the different exposures in the environment, in foods, in water and so on. It's actually the diesel exhaust that is it's very high in mercury. And this has become very popular.
We are talking specifically about immunization and this. A lot of other things. We talked about the dental filling with the fuel. You got to go back in how we expose, how we release things. If you remember, a few years ago, 10, 20 years ago, leaded fuel was known. Yeah, because it stopped the knocking of the engine till they found a new solution for it. But how much damage did lead do into human brain? We talk about, if you go, we know a lot about mercury. There is something else which might be interesting, is that not all the astronauts get affected the same in the space travels or in the station. Some get psychologically, depression and the rest and other things, and there is amount of mercury damage or change in the mercury level in their body too. We know how mercury operates in the body is not known fully yet. How it will be going is not gone very well. But in a way, with the new plasma technology, if you can, in a coming time, measure the Gans state of mercury, feel the strength, you can extract it. And with it, you change the organization of the body. This is a possibility. I have done a lot of research on this because I had to. He's one of my sons. I love him, adore him. But what do? You try to find not an answer to blame, you try to find the reason, the cause, and how it comes to be. But you'll find out all goes the same process. The same process. Anything converts. Don't forget, you say affects the child in the womb of the mother, is the same brain connection to the same blood. At the same time, the child inside receives the same amount of whatever the mother breathes as an energy conversion and stores it. The mother can handle it, the child brain can't. So it goes through the same emotion. They say if you even shout when the child is in the womb of the mother, you get a different character when it comes out. That was the aggressiveness with the children, when there's aggression in the child, when the parents are there. So Mercury to what? And we see, and over more or less over 20 years of research, 25 years, I have come to one conclusion. And if we can change the DNA, is not important, because DNA, which is a physicality, does not get affected as such. It's the emotion which shows itself in the physical behavior. You find a lot of these people, they go like this, for example. They always do something, because just to get attention. When you leave them, there is no such attention. Most of diseases, what we call ADD, attention deficiency, is to confirm the existence. I exist. I have to be valued for my existence. So it's to do with the emotional part. The rest is what is the facade, as we call it. You don't want to be in my seat for 25 years. Then you know exactly how you have and how these people come. And on the other hand, a lot of families have, and then they create other problems in the family. It's one of the most destructive immunizations ever done. They know it. Why they put mercury in it, nobody knows. A lot of chemtrails you talk about, mercury has put in for certain kind of lubrication as high rate of explosion of gases. You have to do it, otherwise it's not there. We used to put lead. You put jet engines, whatever. We had the world champion with us yesterday. He has become the Guinness Book of Records, running a boat fast with water. How can you run a boat with the water? Giovanni? He explained to us how he runs a car on the water, high, fast jet motors. Yeah? So we got to understand what conditions we create. Do we need to do these additives to create it? Now, you have a bigger problem with the plasma technology. You have to understand the totality. The release and substitution of energy. We've seen it. I go back onto it. We have to, as part of the Keshe Foundation, stop any patterning of the needles, especially these. There is, in fact, no difference between this nano-coated needle and the mercury in the injection. If I can close this, Dr. Ivan Michel, which was one of the knowledge seekers, showed us, because he's a dentist, he looks for things. If you get this and you press the nano layer, you see the high increase in the energy release at a very, very high level. So if you use this and by accident you just push it when it's in the body of the patient, the energy release has these kind of side effects. If there are people who try to prove the science has no limit for the greed of the man, there's no problem. But interesting thing is, anybody gets to that position to release such a huge amount of energy. And as I said yesterday, If Dr. Elia Kostova knows, because she knows, she's done it herself, and we've shown it scientifically, energy of this released, it's the same as mercury. In one pulse, you have a lot of schizophrenic, not schizophrenic, AD, ADHD, and a side effect of this. These become the hunted things in the world. Nobody should touch them. No one with the right mind should touch a nanomaterial in this stage, especially when it's inserted inside the body of the man. Because you're warned, if you don't do it, you don't listen to it, when it comes out, because don't forget, a lot of doctors who are supposed to be acupuncturists, they don't have a clue. They've just been trained to put in there, and most of the time, they don't get it wrong. They touch your nerve, now connect it with the electricity, you push a button, you push the nano layer, you got a, it's not my fault, I just put a needle in, nothing is there. But nobody is aware of the high charge release in a plasmatic state. The problem with nanotechnology is it's all in plasma state, which is a matching of the body of the man. It's a Ganser state energy. You haven't stored, it's not a hammer and nail that, let's say if it's a hammer, I hammer it, I get it through. This is a packages of energy. You just release it. And it's huge. I promise you, in a very short time, if these nano-coated pins, which Dr. Elia Kostova is trying to produce in the Far East, patented. So first of all, it cannot, if any patent goes, I put my life on it, I'll fight it in every court and I'll show how it kills. And if anybody dies, any side effect with this, she has to stand for whatever she's done. Because this is not done to prove a science. This is done that out of greed, she can make a lot of money out of it. That's what it is. It's not for advantage of the science. It's for advantage of the pocket. Because if you know the warning, you don't touch. And I don't think, from what we hear, there is such a position. If she does it, I warn, because people, we brought her into the foundation, we gave her a lot of value and respect, and to me, our value and respect has been misused. And cannot be done. If the patents are withdrawn, I thank her. But if goes through it, understanding the warning I give, then I have to protect the humanity, not a single person's pocket. The release of energy is the same as mercury. There's no difference. But because it's in plasmatic state, reaches both at the same time. And this is the same. You release a lot of energy. There's going to be a lot of things like this, which people will develop, but they don't understand. This is very much the same as...
We lost the audio again.
So now I hope we understand a step further about how the mercury works. Why immunization is dangerous? Because it delivers an energy pack in that level, which touches both the physicality and the emotion at the same time. It creates a point of satisfaction. Then that satisfaction, whatever it is, becomes like addiction. You have to satisfy it. The rest of it is the same thing. If you look at all, more or less, all the side effects of immunization is very much ADD. That's why they don't have a solution for it. It embeds in the psychological, emotion part of the body, and no material we have, no medicine we have, which can touch the emotion. We can touch the physicality, psychology, but we don't touch the emotion part of the body as a plasma. We touch it as a matter, and it's not strong enough to reach it. Because the materials they give you as all the things is all matter state of strength. Where here you need powerful plasma in the emotion. Because don't forget the emotion and the soul. If you look at your reactors, comes like this. This is the emotion, this is the soul. When it reduces in the strength, it becomes matter state. All the medication we have is at this state, is not strong in the strength to touch this. The only solution for it is a plasma condition, where you do not deliver material, you create a position of in a free space of the free plasma, the length which can, the strength which can match. Then there is no ADD, there is no emotional. Most of the emotional diseases, more or less with the new technology, can be resolved. Because now we don't touch the physicality with the tablets, we touch the emotion, where the source is. And if we know each one what source in respect to what body, they'll be different. Then you can resolve it. That's what I keep on telling you. There is more PhDs we created out of this technology than we could ever dream. News? Good? Probably, no problem. So you got to take the position of looking at it without prejudice. You got to look at it at the position where you can and you have the option to interact on the emotional level. And then you can sort the situation out very rapidly. Don't forget, attention deficiency, or what I call, there is no disease called attention deficiency. I call it the seat of kingship. Nobody would like to lose. Pardon? I said the seat of kingship, what we call ADD, is a position that nobody would like to lose. You like to be always in charge. Yeah? You like to see you're in control, you're stronger. Pedophilia, prostitution, long-term prostitution. Some of it comes through the attention deficiency. If you look, especially in Italy, very large number, especially up north, women in the age of 30, 25, 30, 35, marrying very old men in their 70s and having a child. It's very common here, huh? In Italy. Here, even we see it some. We don't see as much as we used to see in the north. In north of Italy, we know a number of people in their 70s who have wives of 25, 30 with a child. Why? Why a young life marries such an old man? Financial gain or getting attention? Is that bad? Because then he has all the time to pay all the attention. And that is worth it. It's not that he's rich and she has. It's that now he has everything. I am the only thing, center of attention. It's no less than the other job. You sacrifice because now you get all the attention. Most of them you see very powerful men in their 70s with the very young girls. Why? Because he's there, I'm the tagger, I get attention too. That's why they marry old men, rich men, famous men. It's not that. It's that it satisfies the seat of kingship. Now I'm in charge because I control him. He doesn't control me. It's very, very strange structure when you look at it in a different way. If there are any questions, I'll answer it for you. We don't have any other thing today, do we?
Just kind of passed into the health workshop from the
Hello. I have to
from the
translate.
Spanish,
Pardon?
and now it's actually time for the kids workshop.
Do we have a time for kids workshop?
Yeah, if we stop now and restart, then it should go for another hour
Okay.
if you have time.
So we can answer these questions.
Okay.
Well, but I have to translate. This is the Spanish speaking workshop. I have to translate what you said, which is extremely interesting.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. We go into the children channel and see what we can learn from Kevin Davina.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. That ends the Spanish health teaching workshop for today. And now we're going to move into the children's workshop. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Consideraron que ellos, los índigos, estaban mal y tenían que arreglarlos. Los padres y las escuelas los llevaron con doctores que no sabían qué hacer y finalmente y trágicamente a los psiquiatras. Estos inventaron el síndrome trastorno de déficit de atención y prometieron regresar a las mamás porque los profesores, tranquilos y obedientes niños ya muy robotizados, para que las mamás y los profesores estuvieran tranquilos y los niños pudieran insertarse en el orden normal, social y familiar. La droga psiquiátrica usada fue metilfenidato, Ritalin para muchos y luego con otros nombres, un bloqueador del flujo de serotonina en las neuronas. Esta gráfica muestra cómo tan solo en este siglo, porque esto empezó antes, en los 12 años primeros del siglo hasta 2012, se ha aumentado 11 veces el consumo, igual que los hipnóticos, los ansiolíticos y los antidepresivos. Se creó un enorme negocio de la industria farmacéutica y los psiquiatras con este fraude y los niños fueron grandemente afectados. I forgot to say, Mr. Keshe, that it created an enormous business for the pharmaceutical industry and the psychiatrists with this scam, and the kids were greatly affected. The psychiatric view. Psychiatry makes a frequent mistake in science. It fragmented the reality of the whole body and focused only in the brain part. They have learned a lot about its physicality, how it functions, but it forgot to go back to the whole picture and wouldn't accept or understand interdimensionality, for instance. It pretends to explain the whole with a part. They can alter its functioning of the brain, but they are looking at effects, not causes, which they seldom ignore. I translate. La psiquiatría comete un error frecuente en la ciencia. Fragmentó la realidad de todo el cuerpo y se enfocó solamente en la parte del cerebro. Han aprendido mucho acerca de su fisicalidad, de cómo funciona, pero se olvidó de ver el todo y no aceptó o comprendió la interdimensionalidad que tenemos. Pretende explicar el todo con una parte. Puede alterar su funcionamiento, pero están observando los efectos solamente y no las causas que generalmente ignora. So the psychiatric view it knows that serotonin activates action and melatonin calms it. So it looked for an inhibitor or blocker of the flow of the neurotransmitter serotonin in the neurons. That was what methylphenidate did. And it made the kid a quiet robot, not just... And parents and teachers could have a kid of old design. But the kid was not himself. Some went into drugs or into psychiatric hospital. Some even committed suicide. I translate. La psiquiatría sabe que la serotonina activa la acción y la melatonina la calma. Entonces lo que buscó fue un inhibidor o bloqueador del flujo de neurotransmisor serotonina en las neuronas. Eso fue lo que hizo el metilfenidato. E hizo del niño un robot callado. Y los padres y los maestros pudieron tener un niño del viejo diseño. Pero el niño no era él. Algunos entraron en drogas o en hospitales psiquiátricos. Y algunos se suicidaron. So here is the other explanation, the one I use, how the emotional energy and chakras participate and why the solution is there. I'm not putting a whole explanation of considering the body of energy also in the thinking process because it will be too long. But I'm going to refer only to what happens with the emotional part, the emotional body part that are in the generators, the chakras. And I present them. The generators. In order to express emotions, we need a specific type of energy. For that, the body of energy has 7 generators delimited by a unified field. Each generator is formed by a different number of atoms of lithium restrained in its area of sustentation. Here are the 7 from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple. Not a solid color. They have many, let's say, dots of different colors, but this is the dominant color in each. And they are fed by a thermal electrification system, and they receive and send instructions to the control center. Each generator receives energy for its area of work from a system of electrifications. This allows the generator to start.
Welcome everyone to the 26th Spanish-speaking Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Tuesday, July 7th, 2015. And we'll begin the workshop with the promotional video for the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute with Spanish subtitles.
Where does humanity go from here? What have we tried to do? What if there is more, much more? The Keshe Foundation is proud to announce a new way to bring humanity forward through technology that brings humanity in line with the natural operation of the planet and universe itself. The new science and technology discovered and developed by the nuclear engineer Moran Keshe centers upon the use and control of magnetical gravitational fields. This new body of knowledge opens the road to hundreds of potential applications, which offer solutions to most of the fundamental problems of the world, such as water, food, environmental contamination, and shortages of energy. The Keshe Foundation is proud to unveil the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Nestled amidst the beautiful shores of Bari, Italy, the Institute is poised to become a central hub in the spreading of plasma technology and knowledge. With its state-of-the-art 21st century facilities, the Institute will be able to provide students and staff an immersive way to learn the plasma technology, to be the leaders of the new generation of scientists and plasma engineers. The Keshe Foundation has opened the door to the world for peaceful usage of technology that is independent of the limited resources that are available on Earth. This is an understanding of how everything works together in harmony in our universe, and it applies to everything from the smallest to the biggest, from atoms to galaxies. We all are able to collectively work together in pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and solutions for our society. This learning environment is new to the world, where there will be no test to confirm your understanding. The knowledge of everyone will be respected and allowed to flourish in a nurturing environment. Hands-on testing and experimenting will be widely used in conjunction with roundtable discussions to bring all opinions and knowledge forward. Students will be introduced to a change in the ethos of working in collaboration. Students will experience firsthand how we share knowledge in a free and open manner. Graduating students are expected to share the knowledge they gain from the university within their respective communities and nations. All formal teachings, lectures, and presentations will be in the English language, with technology available for immediate translation. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be offering 3-year executive master programs for undergraduate degree students and 1-year executive master programs for graduate degree students in the following fields: space transportation, new plasma technology, health, agriculture, materials, energy. The health section is designed to make students able to live in space without the need to return to Earth. To this end, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute has found processes for many diseases including ALS, cancer, coma, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will offer online teaching courses which will enable anyone, anywhere around the world to enroll and increase their knowledge and understanding. Students will have the opportunity to direct their work towards commercial spin-offs and seek funding through the help of the Keshe Foundation. The access to the new science and new technologies is openly available for peaceful use to the benefit of mankind to make a better world today. Now you can be part of the changing world and the new knowledge. All commercial spin-offs are intended to be open source and patent-free. This is part of the core ethos of the Keshe Foundation and the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will have its official inauguration on April 21st, 2015, with courses commencing soon after on May 4th, 2015. The students of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be the leaders of the future who will make changes in all areas of space technology, science, medicine, agriculture, and energy. Anyone is able to apply, but acceptance is through invitation only. No prerequisites are required. We will be accepting approximately 250 students for the 3-year Executive Master's Program and 120 students for the 1-year Executive Master's Program. We welcome humanity's participation in the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Where does humanity go from here?
An energy of high frequency of vibration, psychic gifts, and their metabolism is different, and they see world different because of that higher consciousness they have. They were named indigos first, then they were called crystals because they were different from indigos, diamond, rainbow, and so. But they are always referring those names to the characteristics of their high energy. And these kids wouldn't fit in the culture they came to change. And they were not understood by parents and professors first, neither by doctors, psychologists, and psychiatrists, because these tried to force them into the mold of the old energy, the old way of seeing life and of living. Their behavior was considered not normal. They had a very hard time, and although they were very strong, many were affected in several aspects: emotional, mental, physical, and even psychic. I would translate this. El llamado TDA es un problema grave para la nueva humanidad que está representado por los nuevos niños que han llegado desde los 60s en números crecientes. Son diferentes y más avanzados en muchos aspectos. Mayor conciencia, mayor inteligencia, energía de una alta frecuencia de vibración, dones psíquicos, tienen un metabolismo diferente, piensan, su proceso mental es diferente. Primero los llamaron índigos, después cristal, diamantes, arcoíris y otros, siempre en referencia a las características de su energía. Ellos no encajaban en la cultura prevaleciente, la que habían venido a cambiar, y no eran comprendidos por los padres y los profesores primero, ni por los doctores, psicólogos y psiquiatras. Trataban de forzarlos a moldes de la vieja energía, la manera antigua de ver la vida y de vivir. Su comportamiento se consideró anormal. La pasaron muy mal, y aunque eran muy frecuentes, muchos fueron afectados en varios aspectos: emocional, mental, físico y hasta psíquico. I want to add, Mr. Keshe, that there are no more indigo kids being born. Now they're the following waves. And the indigo kids were the first wave, as we will see, and they suffered the problem. Here's what I say about the indigos. The kids of the first wave were called indigos because his aura showed that color in different degrees. It was their higher energy. Obviously, they needed to use that energy, and they wouldn't stop running and wanting to know everything, dismantling toys instead of playing with them. They wanted to know everything. But worst of anything, they wouldn't obey. That was not acceptable at home or at school. They were labeled hyperactive and problematic. But they had a reason for that. I will translate. Los índigos, los niños de la primera oleada fueron llamados índigo porque su aura mostraba ese color diferente en diferentes grados. Esto indicaba su más alta energía. Obviamente necesitaban usar esa energía y no podían dejar de correr y querían saberlo todo. Desbarataban los juguetes en vez de jugar con ellos. Lo peor de todo, no obedecían. Esto no era aceptable en casa o en la escuela. Se les etiquetó como hiperactivos y problemáticos. So I follow Mr. Kesher. They considered that they were wrong and had to be fixed. Parents and school took them to doctors who wouldn't know what to do, and finally and tragically to psychiatrists. And these came up with a syndrome of attention deficit disorder, and promised to produce calm and obedient kids for moms and professors to be happy with the new robotized and obedient kids so they could fit in the normal social and family order. The psychiatric drug used was methylphenidate, called Ritalin at the beginning, a blocker of the normal flow of serotonin in the neurons. I show you the graph for Europe of how the consumption of this methylphenidate in kids from 5 to 19-year-olds has increased in this century up to the year 2012, and it's impressive how it's multiplied by 11 times the use, but also other substances, anxiolytic, hypnotics, antidepressants are being used enormously. And the problem is the same because it's on the same basis. That's why it's so important. I will translate. Up and begins to generate different types of charges so that the emotions are expressed. They vibrate in different levels of vibration. I put in the center here the image of how the aura and the chakras are connected, and how there's this pranic tube that goes from below the feet to up from the head. And this makes the whole explanation a bit possible. I will translate. Generadores. Para expresar las emociones necesitamos un tipo de energía específica. Para tal efecto, el cuerpo de energía cuenta con 7 generadores delimitados por un campo unificado. Cada generador está formado por un número distinto de átomos de litio contenidos dentro del área de sustentación. Aquí lo vemos, cada chakra está conectado a un central de control y tiene un sistema de electrificación térmica. Aquí podemos ver los 7 colores típicos, simplificado, porque no son sólidos los colores, de cada chakra: rojo, naranja, amarillo, verde, azul, índigo y morado, correspondiendo a diferentes niveles de frecuencia de vibración. Cada generador recibe energía de un sistema de electrificación para su área de trabajo. Esta energía permite que el generador arranque y empiece a generar diferentes tipos de cargas. Each chakra receives an order to supply the energy corresponding to the energy in motion of the behavior that was decided in the center of control, which is in the mind and not in the brain. And you can see here how it emits the pulses of molecular activation, and also some factors of molecular integration. And it creates, by this activation, that some biological molecules become neurotransmitters, prostaglandins, hormones, and other. This is just an example. And I will translate these. Well, they have an accumulator. They can accumulate energy in it. And Cada chakra recibe una orden para abastecer la energía correspondiente a la emoción del comportamiento que fue decidido en el centro de control, el cual está en la mente y no en el cerebro. Aquí está otra representación donde está el aura, aquí en placas amarillas, y donde está sobre el tubo pránico los 7 principales chakras. No son los únicos, pero son los que están relacionados con el cuerpo emocional como generadores. So when the new kid doesn't receive comprehension, love, acceptance, support for the development of his or her gifts and their different way of being, he emits emission of low frequency energy, and his chakras accumulate the excess of it and affect his behavior. Here you can see how it is clean on the right and the left, how it is a normal and harmonized emotions, chakras, and aura. And you can see on the right how it can be affected. The aura and the chakras are affected, determine emotions, and the behavior altered. And this is the key to understanding. Of course, a higher up would have to come up with an explanation of why it happens. And I'm not putting this explanation because I want to center in this area. I will translate. Cuando el nuevo niño no recibe comprensión, amor, aceptación y apoyo para el desarrollo de sus dones y diferente manera de ser, emite emociones de energía de baja frecuencia y sus chakras acumulan el exceso y afecta a su comportamiento. Aquí vemos las chakras en un estado saludable y el aura. La energía está balanceada, armonizada y es el niño normal. Cuando está afectado por estas emociones que recibe, que tiene que emitir por el maltrato y a la incomprensión que encuentra, aquí pueden ver cómo se afecta el aura. Se pueden perder partes del aura, se pueden alterar los chakras, se acumulan esas energías. Aquí es un ejemplo, no exactamente, pero es la energía roja, que es del coraje, la gris es casi de muerte. Y esto es lo que
That is up to you. Apply today.
Okay, we're back to Mr. Kesh at the Kesh Foundation now, and we'll carry on with the 26th Spanish-speaking workshop. Hello, Mr. Kesh.
Yes. Good day to you, wherever you are, whenever you listen to this program as usual. We are waiting for our Spanish group if they have anything to show today.
Yes, I am here. What do I have to do? Share screen? Yes. Wow. No, I don't see it. I have the page of many applications. Oh, here it is, I guess. Now we go.
There we go.
Okay. Fine. Do you want to make the description or should I proceed?
Proceed, please.
Yes, proceed, Mr. Kesh says. So go ahead, Enrique.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Keshe. Good day, everybody. We are starting with this presentation. If you remember, Mr. Keshe, last time we talked about the possibility of seeing the case of the so-called attention deficit disorder and how it was treated in the case of your son. But it brought me to the knowledge that I have on these matters, and I would like to know if the cup of life really can be an alternative to what they are doing in the pharmaceutical world, where they are mistreating the kids, and I think it shouldn't be. I treat them with energy healing, but that's something that is very slow. I just can see one boy at a time, and I think that if the cup of life can work and something based on what I know, or perhaps different explanation, would be great for these kids. So this is the presentation I'm making, and here we go, and it starts. This is a picture where the new kids are going to transform the world as it is now, and that's their mission. That's why they're so important. And during that 30th health workshop, you talk about the increasing presence of affection, of so-called hyperactivity or attention deficit disorder to little kids. And this is what we want to talk about. I will translate that. Amigos, estoy diciendo al señor Keshe que esta presentación se refiere al tema del déficit de llamado trastorno de déficit de atención a los nuevos niños, y que es un tema muy importante porque están siendo afectados con la solución que da la psiquiatría con drogas, y que es importante hacer soluciones que no usan drogas para que no se afecten. Entonces, esta es la presentación. Okay, Mr. Keshe, other affections, not just ADD, like what you mentioned, autism, epilepsy, depression, dyslexia, they're all based on the same misinterpretation that psychiatry is doing, and they are being mistreated, they are being affected. And here is what I would like to present. About the new kids, I would start. The so-called ADD is a severe problem for the new humanity that is represented by the new kids that have arrived since the 60s and growing numbers. They are different. They are different kids. We have to understand that, and more advanced in many aspects. They have greater consciousness, higher intelligence.